have the gift to all inspire, and have not love, my words are vain, astounding brass and hopeless gain. Though I may give all I possess, and striving so my love profess, but not begin by love within, the prophets who turn strangely thin. Come, Spirit, come, all hearts control. Our spirits long to be made whole. Let inward love guide every deed. By this we worship and are free. Amen. 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 Thank you for joining us on episode 5 and our season finale of the Sacred Project. On today's episode, we are back at the Manresa Jesuit Spiritual Renewal Center and speaking with the center's director, Father Henk van Meijel. With spring in the air, there's no shortage of young couples preparing for the sacrament of matrimony. Today, we will ask Father Henk to speak to us about ways married couples can strengthen their marriage through spiritual guidance, forgiveness, and sacramental preparation. Come join us. Thank you for joining us, Father Henk. Before we dive into the topic of marriage, I was hoping we could talk about your unique journey to the priesthood. Rumor has it that you were quite handy at repairing vehicles prior to becoming a priest.
Yeah, I did not repair vehicles. I repaired my own vehicles, but
okay.
I had a business in Georgetown, Ontario, repairing landscape equipment and lawn and garden equipment, estate homes. They have a lot of equipment.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was married for 21 years, have 3 adult children. Obviously, it did not work out, otherwise I would not have a collar on.
Right. So we're almost at the start of the peak of the wedding season.
Mm-hmm.
For those couples who are about to get married,
Mm-hmm.
and for those who have already been married, what guidance or practices can they incorporate into their daily lives to strengthen their marriage and deepen their commitment to each other?
Well, it's very simple. Prayer.
Okay.
They both have to be believers, and in prayer it brings them together. Mm-hmm. But also it's very important that they have similar interests. Okay. So many couples I run into who, and especially when things get difficult, they say, but I thought that my partner was gonna change after I got married. Right. So for example, actually recently I ran in a lady who's married 1 year, and her husband is very much involved in restoring antique furniture. So buying antique furniture, hopefully cheap, restoring it, and then sell it again. And she says, well, I know he had that interest, but so I try to support him in it, but it's not really my interest. So people grow apart. They have to have similar interests, but it starts hopefully with the same belief system.
Right. So conflicts are inevitable in all relationships with couples.
Yeah.
Are there any Catholic resources, books that couples can access to help strengthen their communication and help strengthen and deepen their marriage?
Yeah. So there's all kinds of resources available. I'm not going to recommend books, but there's family counseling, family services. There's a group, Retroville, I believe, it's for married couples who are struggling, but it is finding that common ground between them. It's very tricky stuff, especially in these days, to be married. It's a vocation, just like being a priest. And so there's going to be, of course, conflicts, there's going to be hard times and joyful times, but how can they center themselves? So in God, of course, prayer is something what centers. Confession, counseling, I do a lot of counseling with people, is helpful. But it starts, there has to be a foundation. If there's no foundation and both people have totally different interests, it's not going to go anywhere. In days past, say 200 years ago, it was much easier. There was a common goal, was often on the farm. 95% of people worked on the farm. And the common goal was to work on the farm and raise a family. Right. And hopefully the family, that would be your old age security. But in these days, there are so many distractions. It's very important that a couple really know one another, that they're best friends first, right, before they get into a marriage. Right. Even before the sexual, that they're best friends first.
Right.
Dominus tecum, benedicta tu in mulieribus, et benedictus, et benedictus matoribus, nunc et in hora mortis, in hora mortis nostrae, in hora mortis nostrae, in hora mortis nostrae. Ave
So as a marriage evolves over the years, what suggestions do you have for couples whose marriage may be going through a transition, such as becoming an empty nesters or entering into retirement? How can their faith support them through these transitions in their marriage?
Yeah, especially when the children leave.
Yeah.
That's a very critical time in marriage. And often that's also a time when couples split. Because the kids are gone, the focus was on the children, and then they say, who am I? Or especially also with retirement, if one person retires and then they have to spend 24/7 together, that's usually a very critical time. And so again, it all starts at the foundation, how a couple came together, how they nurtured one another in their marriage, and of course how they also nurtured their faith together in that marriage. And so at that time, when they're at retirement, so they know one another and they're open to new experiences. And new, especially at retirement, or when someone gets sick, an older, one of the partners gets sick, it's usually a very critical time to, if the tree has proper foundation, proper roots, it will survive. But if there's no proper roots, it just will get not the nourishment. And so again, it all starts by faith, being one. An older couple who really know one another, they can sit in a room and be together, and it doesn't have to be many words. The one knows what the other one is saying or thinking, and vis-a-vis, they know from one another what they're thinking. And this is very important in a marriage. It's just like being silent with God. God knows what I'm thinking. God is there. I hear God in my heart. And this is also a couple who really has made it, say a couple who's married 40 years. It is so important that they have grown into one another. But when the crisis hits, then they have to rediscover one another. And that's usually pretty difficult.
It's very interesting you mentioned about, that during the time the children leave or retirement, that's a time where couples tend to divorce.
Yeah.
What could couples do just to ensure that, or maybe prepare themselves for that time when the children leave, or when they have all this excess time with each other, that it doesn't result in them splitting, but rather, hey, here's an opportunity for us to get to know each other again, even though we're 30 years deep and we have 3 children.
Yeah. So that's why they have, for instance, retroval. It's something for married couples to rediscover one another. But it's like a tree, as I said. If the tree has not been nourished over all these years, it's going to blow over. And so it boils down right to the foundation of how that couple came together, how they pray together. Are their views the same? Are they similar, I should say? They don't have to be the same. The one doesn't have to be thinking like the other. But are they similar? And can they appreciate one another for who they are? It's a long journey. There's all kinds of books written, right. But in the end, every marriage is unique, just like every relationship with God is unique. Right. There's no formula, there's no pill you can take, but there are things a couple can do early on, and it again starts how they came together. Right. And actually, I'm taking it a little bit further. If a couple splits later on, it always, if they want an annulment of marriage, it always goes down how that couple came together. And was there any defect in how that couple came together? And the classic one is that the ones, sometimes children are pushed into the marriage, that a parent says, well, you gotta marry, this is the right guy, you gotta marry him. Right. Or this is the right girl, you gotta marry her. And that can really be detrimental to the marriage because they did not come freely together. The other one, as I mentioned a little earlier, is when people start to pretend, so my partner likes this or that, and I try to join him, but I don't really like it, but I'm just trying to be the good husband or the good wife. And then we start to pretend, and that's where it all starts. And so a divorce later on in life that has always its roots right at the beginning. Right. It's as simple as that.
Does the Manresa Center offer any programs, counseling for couples?
Not really a particular program, but we have weekend retreats, and people inevitably come here for spiritual direction and so on, and we have spiritual direction. So today we're getting ready for another retreat. So tomorrow we have a men's retreat here, but there will be several men who will come and talk about their marriage. Right. And sometimes it is very good too that someone can talk to someone who is independent about things they would not want to, are struggling to talk about to their wives. But transparency in a marriage is so important. Right. And often I will encourage people to, what you just told me, tell your wife when things are cool, not when you're in an argument or whatever, but when things are cool, gently try to take a conversation that way about your feelings, about your desires, and so that there can be a conversation. But when a couple stops talking, that's when really the problems start.
Thank you for joining us for our final episode on Season 1 of The Sacred Project. A very big thanks to Father Henk for being our guest today and for sharing his wisdom and perspective on the sacrament of matrimony. Thank you for joining us.
Not for tongues of heaven's angels, not for wisdom to discern, not for faith that masters mountains, for this better gift we yearn. May love be ours, Lord, may love be ours, may love be ours, O Lord. Love is humble, love is gentle, love is tender, true and kind. Love Love is gracious, ever patient, generous of heart and mind. May love be ours, Lord. May love be ours. May love be ours, O Lord. Never jealous, never selfish, love will not rejoice in wrong. Never boastful nor resentful, love believes and suffers long. May love be ours, Lord. May love be ours. May love be ours, O Lord. In the day this world is fading, faith and hope will play their part. But when Christ is seen in glory, love shall reign in every heart. May love be ours, Lord. May love be ours. May love be ours, O Lord. I pray you'll be our eyes and watch us where we go, and help us to be wise in times when we won't know. Let this be our prayer when we lose our way. Lead us to a place, guide us with your grace, to a place where we'll be safe. La luce che tu dai nel cuore resterà a ricordarci che l'eterna stelle sei nella mia preghiera. Quanta fede c'è, lead us to a place, guide us with your grace, give us faith so we'll be safe. Suoniamo un mono senza più violenza, un mondo di giustizia e di speranza. Ognuno dia la mano sua vicino, simbolo di pace, di fraternità. La forza che ci dai nel desiderio che ognuno troviamo intorno in dentro sé. Let this be our prayer, just like every child need to find a place. Guide us with your grace. Give us faith so we'll be safe. Ella fede che hai acceso in noi. Sento che ci salverà.
Thank you for being part of the Sacred Project journey. Your support means the world. To help contribute to the creation of more episodes, please visit our website at thesacredproject.ca. You can also explore and obtain music from the series by visiting thesacredproject.ca. If you'd like to experience these beautiful hymns live in concert, come join us on these special dates. For more details and ticket information, visit thesacredproject.ca. Let's continue the musical journey together. See you at the concerts.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.